Hello there, I'm Lance, and welcome to Dozing Off. Dozing Off is a podcast where I'm gonna read you to sleep. I'll narrate short stories and classic literature in this deep and relaxing tone to allow you to put your overactive mind at ease and doze off. Tonight, I'm gonna tell you a story about a journalist who moves to a small town only to find people speaking to each other in cryptic signals. Tonight's story is from Richard Connell, and it's called Shh. Before we begin tonight, I owe a shout out to our newest Patreon member. This account is called Black Women Stitch, and from what I'm seeing, it looks like a sewing collective that lifts up and celebrates Black women. Thank you so much for joining. If you're interested in an additional story of dozing off each week, and additional content that makes the show what it is, check us out over on Patreon, and I'll have that in the show description. Without further ado, do me a real big favor. Fluff up that pillow. Pull that comforter up. Take one deep breath for me. And here we go. By Richard Connell. It was at Billop, Ohio, that Larry Caraway saw the mysterious stranger with the large freckled ears. Peering from the train window, Larry was wondering why trains stopped or even hesitated at Billop. Then he spied the mysterious stranger. To view those extraordinary ears, that must be the reason of the train's halt, Larry decided. Not that Larry cared where or why the train stopped, or how or when. It was taking him away from New York. That was the important thing. He had a ticket, but offhand, he could not have told the destination printed on it. Perhaps it read to Butte, Montana, or Boise, Idaho, or Bisbee, Arizona. It mattered not to Larry. The night before he'd pulled the rubber tent over his typewriter in the city room of the New York Lance and had walked forth into the cool evening, no longer a star reporter, but a nomad. 6 years of thrilling, grueling work Larry had done in New York. Must have a change, he said, a sabbatical year. So, being an impulsive young man, he took it. Now to see the world without joining the Navy, he remarked as he strolled down Park Row. To a taxi man, he said, "Please take me to a railroad station." "Which one, buddy?" asked the driver, who at heart was a Democrat. "Use your own judgment, sir," replied Larry, sinking back on the seat and feeling the luxurious abandon of a man on the brink of new adventures. At the railroad station, Larry opened a wallet in which were $100 bill and one $50 bill, his last week's salary on the Lance. He poked the yellow 100 through the ticket wicket. "Give me a ticket, please," he said. "Where to, Jack?" asked the ticket seller, another Democrat. "I'm not fussy, sir," answered Larry. "Just $100 worth of ticket on the next train out." And the ticket seller being a typical blasé New Yorker, born and raised in Escanaba, Michigan, sold him a ticket and put him down as a lunatic or an embezzler, which are too common in New York to merit comment. So now the train had halted at Billup, and there on the platform was the man with the freckled ears staring fixedly at Larry, while Larry stared no less fixedly back at him. Then the man on the platform did a peculiar thing. He suddenly gripped the lobes of his ears with two large, knuckly, and overclean hands, making earrings of his fists. Fastening an intent, expectant gaze on Larry, the man began to flop his elbows up and down, once, twice, thrice. "This," said Larry to himself, "seems to prove the theory that there are more cuckoos than clocks." He of the freckled ears stopped his cryptic gestures. Another native was approaching along the platform, a puffy, pinguid man with a neck like a plate of waffles. The puffy one, with a great gravity, saluted the freckled one. Larry saw the waffle-necked man grasp his ears and flap his elbows, once, twice, thrice. "More than one city editor has told me I'm a bit mad," mused Larry Caraway. "Perhaps I am, or I wouldn't have turned itinerant reporter. Well, if I am loose upstairs, I'll certainly feel at home in Billup. Perhaps there's a newspaper here, the Daily Padded Cell. Might as well start my career here as anywhere." So Larry Caraway, demonstrating once again that he was a young man whose guiding principle in life was obey that impulse, stepped off the train and into the town of Billup. The waffle-necked man was gone, but the freckle-eared one was still there, draped over a packing case. He unfolded his lean length as Larry approached. Once again he made that strange sign, fists gripping ears, elbows flapping, once, twice, thrice. "When among nuts," said Larry to himself, "be a pecan." So he grasped his own ears and flapped his elbows, once, twice, thrice. The freckled one glanced hastily, furtively about the deserted platform. Then, in a low, impressive voice, he addressed Larry. "The sun riseth in the east." Larry nodded. "Yes, and it sitteth in the west," affirmed Larry. "East is east," declared the man in a whisper. "West is west," said Larry. "North is north," whispered the stranger. "South is south," whispered back Larry. The stranger held out his hand, his little finger crooked. Larry seized the hand and shook it firmly. The stranger pulled away as if he'd been stung by a bee. A dark, disturbed look rushed over his face. "Where is thy grip?" demanded the stranger. "Right there," said Larry. "That old pigskin bay. You can take it up to the best hotel, if there is one." Alarm and suspicion were written large on the face of the owner of the ears. He recoiled from Larry. Then he turned and fled up the main street of Billup. Larry watched his long-legged figure till it vanished. Then he picked up his bag. Yes, decided Larry. I'm gonna like Bill up. Main Street Billup did not exactly stand out. To Larry, it looked very much like the main streets of Eagle Grove, Iowa, Dowagiac, Michigan, Bamberg, South Carolina, and other small towns where journalistic missions had taken him. There was a drugstore full of cupboard maidens inviting the passerby to drink Pep You Up, a bulky bank building, a department store with bolts of calico in the window, the happy hour movie, Today, Her First Sin, Today. And then, down the street, a careworn frame structure with a sign on it that made Larry turn his steps in that direction. The sign read, The Billup Palladium Intelligencer. Roscoe Leg, Ed, and Prop. As Larry moved along Main Street, he became aware that it was different from other small-town main streets after all. The difference was to be felt rather than seen. It wasn't that the natives glanced curiously at Larry's city clothes and blue collar. That was to be expected. But they also glanced with strange sidelong glances at one another. He saw two men, obviously old inhabitants, pass each other. Larry could have sworn that they were brothers twins even, but they didn't even speak. Instead, they fixed on each other baleful glares and contempt twisted down their mouth corners. Larry sensed a feud. Certainly there was none of that loud neighborly familiarity one noticed in Eagle Grove, Dowagiac, or Bamberg. In Billup, there was no hearty salutations. Hello, Jake. How are your beans getting along? Hey there, Elmer. I hear you went to Buckeye Lake Sunday. Hello, Luke, you old son of a gun. Morning, Matt. How's the boy? It seemed to Larry that some cloud, some self-conscious, sullen cloud hung over the town. It weighed down on Main Street and was even perceptible in the rather pretty side streets. In the office of the Billup Palladium Intelligencer, Larry discovered a man who clearly was Roscoe Leg, Ed, and Prop. Mr. Leg was plump and unkempt, a smallish man with ink on his ears, thumbs, and shirt. His askew hair was white, and he had bright, genial eyes. He was engaged when Larry entered the office, which looked as if a tornado had just left it. In answering the telephone, taking a want ad about a stray cow, bawling directions to an invisible printer, chewing gum and trying to keep the wind from blowing some galley proofs out the window. Larry heard him saying, Yes, I got it. Spotted heifer. Answers to name Geraldine. Hang this wind, Bill. Set that shoe ad in upper and lower, do you hear? A reward if returned to Amos Pratt. Yes, spotted heifer. Shut the door, please, Bill. Come a-running with proof of that editorial about rats. Have a chair, sir. Yes, I got it. Answers to name Geraldine. He turned to Larry Caraway. Yes, said the inky Mr. Legg. I will not join. Larry stared at him. Join what? Anything, said Mr. Legg firmly. And that goes, he raised his voice and roared. Bill, for the love of heaven, don't spell pneumonia with an N. Mr. Legg grabbed up a proof and began to read it with one eye. while he fixed the other on Larry and addressed him. "Yes, sir," said Mr. Legg. "You give me pain under my vest. You come into this nice quiet little town that used to ooze with brotherly love, and what do? Bill, for pity's sake, that had another dastardly crime goes in the pig-stealing story, not the Hingley Hatch wedding. Yes, sir, you fellows have turned Billup into a hotbed of hate. Of course I understand your point of view. You get $5 for every new member you sign up. What a pity. You look like a nice young fellow too, but you and your crowd have certainly corrupted Billup." "Me?" queried Larry. "I'm not speaking to the King of Sweden, am I?" said Mr. Legg, scribbling a headline on a piece of copy paper. "Yes, you. Do you happen to know, young man, that Damon Tuttle doesn't speak to his twin brother Pythias anymore since Damon joined Princes and Pythias joined the Hawks? And their devotion to each other used to be beautiful to see. You've split the town into 2 armed camps. That's what you've done, young man. Please put your foot on that proof there before it blows to hell and gone." "Mr. Legg," said Larry, "just what do you think I am?" "A prince or a hawk," responded the editor. "Nothing so exciting," said Larry. "I'm a newspaper man, looking forward to work." Mr. Legg laid down his pencil and thrust out an inky hand. "Well, in that case, I'm glad to see you." He scanned Larry's professional card. "I've heard of you," he said. "Will you give me a job?" "You? On the Palladium Intelligencer?" "Yes, sir." "Young man," said Mr. Legg, "you've been out in the sun. A cabbage leaf concealed in the Panama would have perverted your sad condition." "I'm sane," laughed Larry, "and sober too. The fact is, I need a job." He told Mr. Legg how wanderlust had turned him into a journalistic gypsy. "I know the feeling," Mr. Legg assured Larry. Then he shouted, Bill, if you value your life, never spell accident with an X again. Now, Mr. Carraway, tell me why you picked out Billup." Larry told the editor about the freckled-eared stranger and his signs. "That," said Mr. Legg, "would be Hod Frick. He's high up in the Hawks." When Larry had finished, Mr. Legg said, "I need a man. There's a real problem here that maybe you can help me solve. I can pay you only $20 a week, but you can get a board and a room at Mrs. Olson's for $12. If you aren't really Carraway of the Lance, I'll soon find it out. I know a newspaper man when I see one. I used to work on the St. Louis Messenger myself, till my arches fell and they wanted me to stick on the copy desk. Then I came here and bought the Palladium Intelligencer. I was born in Billup, you see, and it used to be one of the pleasantest little towns in the country. But now—" "Say, what is wrong with Billup?" Larry inquired. "It's got the shh habit," said the editor, and not pausing in his work, he went on rapidly. "Sir, Billup used to be a good place to live. Any civic project in the whole community was behind it to a man. Main Street just dripped with goodwill, fact. And now, well, you noticed something, didn't you?" "I didn't see any doves and olive branches," Larry said. "No, and I'll tell you why. The folks here are going around a lot of bulldogs with sore noses these days. Half of them are princes and the other half are hawks." "That's Czechoslovakian to me," said Larry. It was too until 6 months ago. Well, sir, 6 months ago into town came two slick fellows from Chicago. Glib, that's what they were. One of them was grand and greatly estimated organizer of the high and mysterious princes of the enigmatic realm of secrecy. The other was royal and solemn standard bearer of the cryptic order of honorable hawks. Oddly enough, they both got here on the same day. One worked the south side of Main Street and the other the north side. They had smooth lines, both of them, I know. They tried them on me. The princes, to hear them tell it, are the strongest and most secret order in the world, with secrets that would make a porcupine's quills curl. For $10, anybody could be a prince, wear a purple robe with skeletons embroidered on it, and learn those terrific secrets. Likewise, for $10, don't forget the 10. Any worthy butcher's assistant or soda jerker could become an honorable hawk, wear a red bib with birds on it, and lock in his bosom. So the hawk fellow said, secrets that made the secrets of all the other orders, especially the princes, look like a page from a first-grade spelling book. Indeed, the hawk fellow whispered in my ear that if I joined the hawks, I could certainly look with pity and scorn on the princes and their puny little secrets. And the prince assured me that any bona fide member of his crowd could properly regard a hawk the same way a bottle of grade A cream might regard a pan of sour skim milk. Well, I regret to say, Billop ate that stuff up. I could see why. Perhaps you noticed that our main street is no Broadway. I did see a difference, said Larry. The most ardent Billupian, said Editor Legg, was bound to notice now and then that our main street lacked thrills. Its virtues are the simple, homely ones. Those organizers found plenty of material to work on. Wally, the butcher's assistant, might be able to withstand a purple apron with skeletons on it, but he could not resist the secrets. It sort of made him drunk with power to think he knew secrets that his friend Cliff in the shoe store didn't know. So Wally joined the princes, and pretty soon Cliff joined the hawks, to have some secrets too, and soon the whole town was full of folks making wigwags at one another and exchanging passwords and trick grips. They got to hating one another, the princes and the hawks. Every man in town except me belongs to one bunch or the other. I have to stay neutral. It's a shame, that's what it is. It's ruined Billop. A sad case, said Larry. Why don't you kid the bibs off them in your paper? The editor sighed. I wish I could, he said. But you know how it is in a place as small as Billop. A man isn't free to do as he pleases. Everything I own is tied up in this paper. And if I kidded the hawks and the princes, they might all stop reading it. Besides, how could you possibly kid a hawk or a prince? A sense of humor and stuff doesn't dwell under the same hat. But there must be a way, began Larry. I wish you could find it, said Editor Legg. Now, please take these proofs out to Bill, he's the dirtier one, and tell him if he puts the police court news in the social notes again, I'll tear his tonsils out. I've got to write 2 editorials, an obituary, and a baseball story in 6 minutes. Larry Carraway had finished his first day as reportorial staff of the Palladium Intelligencer. He was sitting in his room in Mrs. Olson's boarding house, recuperating from it. He'd written half a column about a dogfight, a laudatory column about a concert of the Billup Silver Cornet Band, a long obituary of a prominent switchman, an editorial of a satiric nature asking the city fathers why Main Street had been paved with taffy instead of concrete, and full stories about the new pump at the waterworks and the bull calf that had come to brighten the house of Caleb Prouts. Outside his window lay Billup, and the peace of the moonlight was on it. The vagueness of the night had softened the outlines of the houses. Only the slim white spire of the church rising above the maple trees was distinct. The windows of the houses were orange-yellow patches of light. "There's a family behind every one of those lights," mused Larry, and laughed at himself, for newspapermen, being the most sentimental of mortals, affect to despise sentiment. "They're simple, decent folks, too." He was recalling how cordial and helpful they had been to him, a stranger,